Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Finally, we are here on Zoom after such a crisis with Instagram.
Which is okay. We'll overcome it.
Which is okay, alhamdulillah. We're still new with technology. I use technology a lot, but I'm very new to this kind of technology. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, we can make it work out.
Absolutely.
So the topic, as we agreed, is the work-life balance. And I chose this topic because it's a very critical topic. It comes up a lot in coaching sessions where people are trying to find the work-life balance. But currently, with the pandemic, people are finding this, it has invaded in their own homes. They're not being able to find that balance at home because work is in their homes right now. So what they wished for has become a nightmare. And there's three categories of people that I have come across. I know a lot of people are laughing right now. They're talking how empty life feels like. They don't know what to do. But on the other hand, there are other people who are actually extremely busy at home. They're locked in the room from 9 to 5 because they need to focus. I know personally, I know people who are in that situation and they feel confined. They actually miss being in the office because they get to be with colleagues. They get to get up and have a cup of coffee, have a small discussion with anybody that's around. If they have a problem, they can discuss with their partner about it at work and find a solution to any kind of the problem. Right now, they feel alone in a room from 9 to 5 o'clock, and it's getting really frustrating. It's stressful, and they're anxious for this to be over. So what do you think about this, these kind of people? What kind of advice can you give them as a life coach?
Okay. Thank you, Nabila, for picking up this valuable topic, because especially at this time, we do have a crisis out there. And I've been talking to a couple of my colleagues, and to be honest, this imbalance is a common topic across people from different industries, different regions, different countries. It's really surprising that we share the same feedback and the same opinion. So it's exactly as you mentioned, people are in three different categories. So there are people who feel they're busy all the time and it's much, much, much more than before. And there are people who have nothing to do at all. And there are people who are in between trying to find out and figure out what to do.
Yes.
So first of all, before we go to the solution or what can we do or what are the tips to help them, let's see what are the main cause of this imbalance or work-life balance, and why do we really need it? So what do you think, Nabila? Why do we really need to discuss this topic today?
Yes. So for example, I will talk about myself first because that is the best example anybody can give when you can offer them your own experience. For me, home is home. But before becoming a coach, many years back, I used to be a teacher. And sometimes I used to bring work at home and I would work until midnight, preparing, correcting. And that is very stressful and it can actually kill your well-being because your mind is tired. Your body, physical, is very tired. So I can understand that kind of balance is needed where you feel that the place that used to be home or the place that you were always looking forward to. So you're at work, it's almost 4 o'clock and you're thinking, oh, I just want to go home, take off these office clothes and get into my home slippers and just have a cup of tea. Now, that's not even possible anymore because there are many people who have meetings, face-to-face meetings like this on Zoom almost every hour. So they actually literally have to feel like they're at work. They wake up in the morning, they have to prepare like they're going to work, and then they sit behind the desk from 9 until 5 o'clock, and they're at home. So that can create a kind of confusion, I think, for the mind of the person where they feel they cannot relax in their own home. So that is where I feel that it's very difficult to find a balance there. It's not impossible, but I think it's a mindset. So where you can actually say, every 2 hours, just like how you would do it at work. You would get up, have a few steps, walk around the office, have a cup of tea, go talk to somebody. It should happen at home at the same time, because you don't want to kill yourself because you're thinking, I need to work, because I'm at home. I have to prove myself. I have to finish my work. So people need to get up. They need to have that 5-minute nap. They need to go and get that cup of coffee. They need to go and speak or play with their children for even 5 minutes, and then come back and continue with their work. This is what I feel. Even go out in their garden, get some fresh air, and come back again. So this is the kind of thing that I would tell people from my point of view. That's how I would relax, do some breathing techniques. I'm a very life balance kind of person. I do yoga, I do meditation. So I think it's very important to incorporate these things in your life.
Okay. That's perfect, Nabila, mashallah. And even the tips that you gave the audience, I believe, I'm sure that they will benefit from them. So now we're targeting the first group who are working 24/7, people who are complaining from the imbalance in their life. So let's leave the other two groups. We'll come back to them again. And let's talk about the first group. So the first group, first when I ask myself, so why? Why do we feel imbalance? I would summarize my answers into three. You know, the say of the three. So we tend as human beings remember stuff in three. Okay, so the three main reasons I would say, the first one is increase in responsibilities at work. So there are some individuals, subhanallah, just like myself, for some reasons I had at my work, people who left the company, or they're at a long leave, planned leave, or resigned or left the company. We have to take these kind of additional responsibilities. So this by default would require from you to work a bit more time and spend more time at work. The second is increase in at-home responsibilities. So yes, while we are sitting at home and there's a crisis out there, we have so many things to look after. And especially if I talk about people and parents who have kids and children, and we are all aware that they're doing distance learning. So it's very challenging for working parents to cope between work, home, and children learning and through this distance learning. So these kind of the main reasons why would people feel imbalanced or would feel a bit pressured working from home. And then, so let's move then to the tips. To be honest, when I was just brainstorming, so what are the tips? There are so many. And let me say a couple of them. The first one is perfection. Most of the people who admire work and they're really committed to their work and they give it the full and the first priority of their life, they look into perfectionist. They want everything to be perfect. So they want kids to submit all the school requirements, and they want to fulfill all the work requirements, which really put them under pressure. So one thing we need to look at is just to lower expectations, be more realistic, because the situation that we're living in today is not normal. We're living, yes, we're stuck at home, we're working remotely, but there's a crisis out there. So it's not as a normal life or a remote working remotely policy where you sit at home and you work. No, actually you have more work at home.
Yes.
So I would say this is one of the tips. The second is unplug and just don't be afraid to switch off. You know, I've noticed people, including myself sometimes, I do work until nighttime and weekends. And it's not correct. And we know it's not correct. So we have to be a bit more courageous, just to pause a bit. After a certain time, just leave. But then when I go to my analysis point of view, I'm like, well, we have nothing to do. Even if I switch off, you know, because we're stuck at home. It's not a regular or a normal remote working.
Yes.
And you don't want to think about what's happening there and about the numbers and how many people are infected and so on. So what do you have? It's a choice. Either you want to do something that you really enjoy and you look at this crisis from a different perspective, or you go, what? To work. صح?
True. Yes, yes. Personally speaking, I really found myself, I also found imbalance in this. I'm a freelancer. And as a freelancer, normally, it's very easy to work 24/7 for me. So as a freelancer, I have to prioritize my time. I have to plan my day. So normally, I will try to work in the morning. But it's very easy for me to think, wait a minute, I have this idea that I want to implement tomorrow or maybe day after tomorrow, and I will start working at night in front of the television. So your mind is on the laptop, on the television, and then you have your phone in your hand, and then you bring back awareness into your, which is very important to actually be aware that you're doing that. I bring back awareness into myself and think, what am I doing? I can't even focus on one thing because I have three things going at the same time.
Yeah.
So I shut the laptop, shut the telephone, watch TV, and just relax. For example, if it's the TV that I will choose. So it's, as you said, it's important to unplug, but to know when to unplug.
Absolutely.
Is,
so just to build up on what you have just said about freelancers. So I had this discussion with a couple of people and a couple of coaches and trainers as well, who found this pandemic. So there are two groups as well. So there are people who look at this pandemic as a crisis where it's no way that they get a job, because they cannot approach organizations, they cannot be out there, people cannot see them, they're so busy with their own policies and procedures and protocols and so on. And there are the other group who actually took, you know, this, the word crisis in Chinese, it has a different meaning.
What does it mean?
So it has two meanings. It's opportunities and danger. So it depends on the person. Some people would look at the crisis as something dangerous and is impacting their life. And there are other people who would look at the crisis as an opportunity to be out there, to build their profiles and to build up their credibility and the trust with other people. Exactly what we're doing today. And honestly speaking, if you ask me as Coach Sarah, I see this is the best opportunities for freelancers to be out there. Just go.
True. Yeah.
And just like what you said, I'm not pushing them to imbalance their life, but at least be focused, have a purpose, and work on it. Do something.
And this is a topic that I am going to be discussing about tomorrow, actually, with an entrepreneur, because with freelancers at the moment, what they're facing, which is the third category that I put down for today's topic, is they feel empty because their projects are all on hold at the moment. They do their work project based or maybe hourly, hour to hour. So I'm a coach, but I'm also a trainer. I had a training job just outside of Muscat, and that has stopped as well. So so they feel that everything that was in their hand has suddenly stopped. But again, it's an opportunity. For me, I look at it as an opportunity because I'm a freelancer, but I'm a coach. So I look at it as an opportunity to look back at how you started and where you are now as a freelancer. What can you learn from the past and that you couldn't do, that you can do now? So this is a time to actually plan, to reflect back and see what are the mistakes that I went through until I got to where I am today and it stopped there. If it was not good, you can rebuild that. If it paused in a very good place, there's nothing stopping you from actually thinking that I can do better. So what can you think and try to disrupt the market Now is the time to think of disrupting the market, to being more creativity, to initiate different ideas. Look at your business from a distance and say, okay, this is where my business is right now. What can I do better when this pandemic is over? So it is an opportunity in my view, although it is a crisis financially, but everything, I mean, we will be taken 2 years back in terms of business side. But again, so if you're going 2 years back, how can you rewind and forward it to a better step after that?
Absolutely. And you know, Nabila, especially when we talk about business and how things will go back to normal after this crisis, and especially from today, having this imbalance in our life, I believe it's the best time just to start think, what is your perspective from today about the life after the COVID-19? How it will look like? How do you want it to be? How do you want your life to be? Where do you want to be and what do you want to do? So honestly speaking, it's exactly what you have mentioned. It is an opportunity. It is, but depends on you as a person. How do you manage it and how do you prepare your life? When we talk again about the imbalance between work and life, there are so many things that we do on a daily basis that really that are a time wasting or time consuming. And we need to be very careful and assess every single activity that we do. Sometimes just sitting and looking into the social media and following unnecessarily stuff maybe could be a time wastage. Sometimes over planning for so many projects and so many tasks might put you under that feeling of pressure, and which unfortunately might lead into being unproductive.
Yeah.
So it's again, it depends on the person. When we talk about the imbalance, there are some people, by the way, their style is to check their emails at night, even before this crisis. You know, they used to check their emails at night and send some emails, but their expectations, they don't expect people to respond to them. So I think the main thing that I really wanted to highlight in this session is to manage expectations and set boundaries. Again, every single person have his own style. So if your style is to send them emails at 2 a.m, just let your team know that you don't expect them to respond to you. And this is your way and this is your style.
Yes.
So I believe from a life coaching perspective, I believe it's very important that people, they know themselves and they know, and talking about employees, they know themselves and they know their communication style and their style as well. And to set the expectations from the beginning.
Yeah. So we have the other kind of the people who are at home, they are used to working. And how they're finding imbalance in their life is that they actually feel empty. So they don't find the balance because they feel empty. So work used to fulfill their day and they used to come back and spend time with their kids afterwards. Now they are at home, they're stuck with the duties of the children, or maybe they don't have children, their children are older and they're just stuck with themselves. So they're finding imbalance because of the emptiness that they have. They're suddenly lost. I remember once I came across somebody who had retired and she said, Nabila, I really follow your page and I feel that you're so comfortable where you are. I said, it's easy to see the grass greener on the other side.
Yeah.
So maybe I look at you and think, oh, wow, you're a working person. I admire you. But you're looking at me as a freelancer because I'm managing everything in my own time, that it is greener on my side, while actually freelancers can be maybe 24/7, as I mentioned before. So when she retired, she said, I feel lost. I don't know what to do with my time, because she is used to that time frame of being at work from 9 to 5, and then she comes home, she relaxes. But now she has these hours and she doesn't know what to do with them. She was asking me, what do you do with your hours? How do you spend your hours? So again, that's a learning point for some people. What can they do with their hours? So before I ask you about what you think about that, to do with the hours is basically you start thinking what you couldn't do when you were at work. Many times you forget that you're at work and you're actually distracted and you're thinking, oh, I need to do this now, I need to do that, I need to do that, but I don't have time. I need 48 hours a day. So what are those things that used to occupy you at work in your mind? You cannot leave work, but you wish that you could leave because you want to do them. So what are those things? This is a time where you can complete those tasks. So this is my advice to people, to think about the things that they felt they never were able to complete them or do them. To think about those things now.
Absolutely, Nabila. So when we talk about the second group, so we're talking now about people who maybe lost their jobs because of this crisis, people who are expats in different countries and they're stuck, they have to be there, people who are retired, and some people where some job roles sitting at home is not serving them because actually they have to be in office in order to work. So for them, sitting at home, actually they're doing nothing. So there are so many different categories who are sitting at home today and they actually have nothing to do. I love what you said about what did you dream about, or what did you want to do before when you were working and you wished that you have 48 hours a day. So what did you really want to do? I would say it from a different way in terms of, first of all, we need to be compassionate with those who lost their jobs because it was out of their hands. And definitely it is hard. And my advice to them is okay, be present with yourself and be present with what you feel. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel down. It's okay. Don't put yourself under a pressure that you have to run and find a job quickly. I know you might need the job, but just process the feeling that you have in you so you can avoid any other consequences of just ignoring your real feelings. So be authentic with yourself.
Yes.
The second thing I would say is, see, every single person, we have values, right? So every human being, they value certain stuff that really is fulfilling their life for them. So maybe you need to revisit your values. Maybe a couple of months ago, your top value was wealth, for example, and today you don't have a job, or actually you're doing nothing, or one of the organizations have a new policy or a protocol to cut the salaries, or just to pay them basic, or just to force them into leaves. So there's no source of having a wealth or money. So what do you need to do? Go back, reset your values, and look at your current situation from a different perspective. It's not easy, yes, we know that, yes, but it's real. So we have to be real with ourselves. We have to be realistic as well. And let's go back and restructure our life. I would say look at change from a healthy perspective. It's really healthy to have a change. It's people do seek change through different channels. So look at it from this way.
Yes, today I actually had a meditation session. It was online. And the topic before meditation, it was about change. Some people are happy to change, but a lot of people don't like change because change is not easy. So I agree with you in that point. Change is difficult, and it's very highly connected with the values. So yes, you need to restructure and have a look at your values. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love about, I noticed that there are some people who came up with new hobbies. You know, I noticed a couple of people, they're drawing and they're singing and playing piano. So they're trying to do something new. And I would
Yeah.
definitely advise people just go and read about the impact of having something new or doing a new hobby or having this change. And there are so many stories and people around us who went through this kind of experience, and you can see the positive impact on them. So
Yes. Yeah.
it's your choice. Again, it's your choice. It's either you would just be stuck in that sadness and, forever, or you will just go and process the feeling of being alone and
Mm.
separate from your work and from your colleague, and at the same time planning about the next phase. See,
Yeah.
Nabila, there's one thing that we forgot to highlight is the social distance. It has a huge impact, negative impact.
Yes.
يعني, يعني الحمد لله, we are grateful at least that I'm living in my home country, you're living in your home country with your family, I'm with my family. But I really feel for the expats who live in the UAE without their family. And now they are forced not even to socialize with their colleagues, with their friends. And, this social distance is really tough. And it's not
It's very,
easy.
yes, and it's tough. I mean, when we were watching the news about China, in China, I mean, in the Middle East, a lot of people, they live in villas, for example. So imagine, like in China, a lot of people live in flats, even here.
Yeah.
So that is very hard. We have to be empathetic about people like, who are in that kind of situation where they only have a little incubator, which is their home. It is their home. After all, that's your home. But it's not easy at the end of the day to be confined in a little place for so many weeks. I mean, I've been inside, I think, almost 2 months. I mean, I have gone out to the supermarket and back and this, but I think in the first 3 weeks, I was very scared to even walk out.
Absolutely, all of us,
And then I said to myself, I need to find something to do. And I actually enrolled myself in a yoga teachers training course. I don't know if I will teach it, but because I'm so passionate about it, and I needed to discipline myself to do the yoga, because I used to go out, go to the studio to do my yoga, and it's very difficult to discipline yourself to exercise at home. So the only way for me to actually discipline myself was to enroll myself in a course so I can practice yoga every day or every 2 days. There are days where I don't, I will do even only 15 minutes, and it's fine as long as you can energize yourself and do something. So those are for the people who are at home and feel they have nothing to do. Look for something you're passionate about and do it. Learn how to play a guitar, for example, if you have the guitar.
Absolutely, بس الحمد لله, at the end of the day, the way how I see it, people now became more connected. We're really interconnected with each other. Despite, I've never expected that one day, Nabila, me, I'm in here in Abu Dhabi, you are in Oman, we'll have this kind of, you know what I mean, this kind of activity, doing it on Saturday night. I think we were so busy with so many things before, and we took life for granted. And today what happened really made us to look into life from a different perspective. Even when we talk about work-life balance, when I ask my clients to list the things that they are really grateful for, the first thing is work. And subhanAllah, a few minutes ago, they used to complain about their work and the imbalance between work and life. But at the same time, they're really grateful to have a job. So yes, it is frustrating to have this imbalance. It is sometimes putting you in a feeling which you really don't want to be there. But at the same time, it depends on you. So I will always put the pressure on you. It's your choice. It's you are the one who set and manage expectations. You are the one who can say no to. You are the one who can ask for something. There are people who I know they had really challenging deadlines and they went back and they asked for extensions. So it's up to you you can put yourself under that pressure and you cannot. And sometimes, yes, you have to work under that pressure. Unfortunately, you don't have a choice. But bear in mind, discuss this with your manager. Bear in mind that maybe it's for this project, maybe this is only for certain time, and then this will go back to normal. But again, depends on you. So what do you do to overcome the imbalance?
Yes, so this is a question that actually came up when we were trying to do the live session about the communication strategy. How do you communicate with your manager about the flexibility of working from home? Because a lot of people are working from 9 to 5, exactly, like as if they are at work.
I'm one of them, and even more.
So does it mean, is it possible for them to work later? This is how I understood the question. So for example, if they choose to work from 5 to 10 instead of 9 to 5. So I'm not so sure.
Maybe now I'll speak from an HR perspective. So I'm a professional HR working in a senior role. And there are a couple of people who used to come to us even before to change the timing, instead from 9 to 5 to make it from 6 to 3, for example. I would say, before you ask for anything, put yourself in the other person's shoes. So put yourself in the organization shoes. And you answer yourself, is that possible to work, for example, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. at night? And what is the impact of that?
Yeah.
For me as a person, I know that this is impossible for me and for my team. And if you ask me why, because we need to be there. I'm working as an HR professional. I need to answer employees' questions. I need to be there and listen to them, be with them, you know. We are the human resources. So we provide resources to humans who are our main assets. So you cannot work at night. Who do you expect at night to come at you and approach you and ask you about stuff? You know what I mean? How many?
Exactly, yes. Everybody has to be aligned at the same time. Yeah, because you can, as you said, go to a person in their break time or in their family time and start asking them questions. You're creating an imbalance for somebody else then.
Exactly. And you know, Nabila, so one of my main values is learning and grow. So I've registered to this amazing program, an online virtual program as well. And I'm grateful that they are a very expert people in their field. And they created this, it's called LIHR, which is Learn in HR. So I was in this webinar last week. And one of the experts, her name is Dorothy Dalton. She brought up a couple of new ideas to kind of connect people through virtual and remote working. So the 3 ideas that I really like, first of all, is know your people. So don't make assumptions and start asking questions.
Yeah.
We tend to guess that we know our employees, we know our people, but actually maybe they are in totally different space and different mode, which we don't know. You mentioned there are people who are living in villas, people who are living in apartments. Actually, there are people who are sharing rooms together.
Yes. Yeah.
So just ask them, ask how do they feel. So go to the feeling part of it. And honestly, I noticed with this crisis, people became very connected, even at work, because we go and ask about the feelings and how does it feel like. And sometimes we look into the kids while they come in and jump in the meetings, while one of the employees is in the middle of a meeting. The second is, I would encourage definitely most of the organization to provide a supporting system. And there are so many systems out there. An employee assistance program, just they need that emotional support. Plus physical, definitely. And finally, it's fun and games. So we do so many virtual meetings. And sometimes when we go to the meeting, we just direct to the point and we discuss the topics and so on. But actually, we need to have a virtual coffee mornings. Really, I read an article on LinkedIn, it's really highly recommended by an expert. And they say, yes, you need to have a virtual coffee morning. You need to have some kind of games. fun together, just chat together like 10 minutes in the morning before you go and dig deep into work. So there are really nice ideas that
That's a really good idea. Yeah, why not? I mean, people do talk to their families now virtually, so why not have coffee mornings? It's a
absolutely.
very, yeah, yes, I agree to that. Well, I mean, this is really good, and I forgot what I wanted to say now. I mean, there's definitely a lot of things you can talk about when it comes to work-life balance, but it is upon you yourself to create that balance for yourself.
Yes.
The way I see it is, as human beings, we emotionally get very anxious about things because at the moment, the control is not in our hands. We are forced to stay inside. So, but you have control within your own environment. So how can you control yourself within your own environment to create that balance, to create happiness, you know, to create your work time, your comfort time, your children time? It's chaotic anyways. The world is meant to be chaotic, but you can control your own status and be calm, and actually it vibrates to others. So if you are calm as a person, you're emotional, it will vibrate to your family, to your children. They will follow you, and inshallah they will be balanced after that. So this is um, the ending of what I have to say. And I hope we can have more webinars together, or maybe live if UAE has a little bit of, you know.
I hope so. Let's make a dua.
Or maybe after the pandemic, if I am there again, then we can meet up and do a virtual one.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. But thank you so much for this. And hopefully we will have more to come.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Nabila, for initiating this connection and this a lovely topic and a very important topic actually at this time. And I hope people will benefit from it. I will leave them with an inquiry. You know, as a coaches, we always leave our people with something to think of. I would leave them to, I read this question this morning on LinkedIn. So what is the gift that you can get from working remotely, despite if there's imbalance or there's a balance? What is the gift into that? I'm sure there are so many. For me, one of them is to have almost a daily lunch with my kids and my family, which I used to miss a lot. So, and there are many if I want to list. So I will leave you with that. And thank you again, Nabila. And I really look forward to work together again.
Inshallah.
Stay home and stay safe.
Stay safe. Thank you so much.
مع السلامة.